Hey everyone, welcome back to Assassin's Creed 100%. This is going to be Memory Block 2, and what this memory block is going to be Tamir in Masyaf, not Tamir. God, what the fuck is his name? The one random guy. Tamir is the first target in Damascus. I don't remember the first guy's name in Masyaf, because I really don't care. But it's basically just going to be tutorializing investigation missions, which are going to be the main bulk of this game after the first memory block, because you have to go to each city 4 times and do all of the investigations there to unlock the assassination memory for the main target, and then you go assassinate them, and then you just move on to the rest of the game. So this is going to be Tamir and then the first random guy in Masyaf. And then the rest of the game is going to be the other 2 cities, which are Acre and Jerusalem, which we will get to see here because they're in future memory blocks. But we'll get to see a lot more of them later. Because the other memory blocks are going to be Acre and Jerusalem, and then Damascus, Acre and Jerusalem, and then Damascus, I think. Damascus? No, Acre and Damascus and Acre, and then Jerusalem, and then we go back to Masyaf to kill Al-Mualim. I'm such a fucking nerd. I don't understand why I remember all this stuff. I've played this game and the Ezio games like way too many times. Honestly, also AC3 and AC4, just because like I've 100%ed them multiple times. But I have a lot less experience with all the games post AC4. I kind of have some. I think the game I have the most experience with post AC4 is Rogue, because Rogue is basically just an AC4 clone, and I've done like at least one speedrun of it. But speaking of speedruns, I recently uploaded a run of Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I did a few days ago from recording this, because that's one of the things I've been doing while I was not making this video, because I want to try to learn the speedrun that game. And that video is not my first run that I've done of that game. I did record my first run of that when I Twitch streamed it, but it was a very bad run and took like over 7 hours, because it was my first run and it was bad and I didn't understand what the fuck I was doing. And I also wasted like a complete hour on one of the late game boss fights because I was not paying attention to what items I had. Because I completely ran out of art recharge items and I didn't realize it, and I wasted an hour on a boss fight because of that, which was stupid. But since I'm on the topic of speedruns, I kind of want to talk about like animations and like speedrunning. Because like since I'm a speedrunner, even though I'm not a very good one and I barely run anything, it kind of makes me like appreciate like animations and like how developers like build their games more, because like I never really used to like care about all that stuff, but like now that I like watch speedruns and like do speedruns myself, it gives me like a higher, I think it gives me like a higher appreciation for like animators and like animations, because a lot of speedruns like are based on like movement and like how fast you can move for the game. So like you have to make sure you're doing all like the fast animations. So like when animations are fast, like I feel like I have a higher appreciation for them, because I just know that when you're trying to do a speedrun, you want to do all the fastest stuff that you can. And like Xenoblade 2 also has like a lot of menuing, so you want to like get through all the menus fast, and like the animations, the menus have their own animations, which is like really interesting, and like I just feel like it gives me a higher appreciation for animations in video games, just doing speedruns and like watching the speedruns. So like, cause like I watch a lot of speedruns, like even games that I don't really like plan to run myself, I just watch speedruns of them just because they're interesting to me. But yeah, that's basically, that kind of like leads me into like talking about like the parkour and combat mechanics of this game, because I don't think I really got into those that much in the last video. So basically, because this is the first Assassin's Creed game, they're running off like the very first engine. So they have like this puppeteering concept thing, where you have high profile and low profile. So when you're in low profile, you're kind of walking like this, which you can't actually like run right now while it's telling you you've been demoted for some reason, which I like don't really like that much. And for some reason, my game like freezes a lot in this video because like I somehow accidentally click out of the game because my computer is being stupid. But like this is like high profile speedrunning, like sprinting. So when you're in high profile, you can see the HUD change to like a brighter like a white color instead of like a dark gray, and that lets you know that you're in high profile. And when you run like that, you're running, so you're obviously a bit faster. But then you can hold the sprint button, which is like A on Xbox or X on PlayStation, or whatever you have it mapped to on PC, and you can sprint a little bit faster, which lets you to parkour when you run up a wall or like vault onto an object. And then if you're running but not sprinting, if you're just running in high profile, you can hold circle on PlayStation or B on Xbox, and you can tackle people, which will let you run through crowds faster, which is actually something you have to unlock in a later memory block. So I don't actually have access to tackling right now, which is why I got knocked over by that random civilian right there, because I can't like tackle through crowds. And then your arm button, which I have mapped to left click right now on my mouse, but it would be square on PlayStation or X on Xbox, is your main like attack button. But since we only have our fists right now, the only attacking I can do is punch. But later, once we get the hidden blade and the sword and the dagger, we'll have more weapons. And then like when you have more weapons, you can actually do a lot more in combat. Even though AC1 only has the fists and sword and the knife and daggers and the hidden blade, so there's a lot less variety for weapons in combat than there are in like future games, like AC2 or like even honestly Odyssey or Valhalla. There's like a lot less compared to those games. So like you're only limited to like 4 weapons, and a lot of the weapons are like they aren't really that good because you're locked to whatever like upgrade status they're at in the memory block you're in, because they upgrade depending on which memory block you're at currently. So you can't upgrade them yourself. So you're like stuck with whatever version of the weapons you have. So I always just tend to stick to the hidden blade, which you've probably seen me do in the dual commentary videos I've been doing with my friend ID, where I just like constantly counter kill enemies with the hidden blade because I don't really like using all the sword all that much in this game. Which is why whenever I'm in combat, after the game forces me to switch to my sword, I always just switch back to the hidden blade because I just feel like it's a lot better to use, and I feel like it makes the combat a lot more faster and like a lot more free flowing than it normally would be. Because the sword, like, even when it's like fully upgraded, I feel like the sword is just like slow in this game, because like later in the game, enemies can like, they can even like counter you instead of just like you countering them. And they tend to like block attacks a lot more and like throw you onto the ground. And this is just me reading the thing that I pickpocketed, because you can actually like read all the stuff that you pickpocket from people. So I'm just doing this for lore, because I feel like a lot of people that play this game don't even know. They don't even know that you can like read these things, and they like give you extra like information and like maps to things you can go towards, which like I don't feel like a lot of people even know, and if they do know, they don't bother to read it because they don't really care. But yeah, back to like parkour and combat. Like I said, you only lock the 4 weapons, and you don't actually get the counter kill until later. So I'm kind of locked to just like attacking people right now and blocking. So when we get to Damascus later, and I'm doing all the save citizens, I'm just gonna be like attacking people and like being really offensive, because I tend to prefer just doing the counter kill, but because the game hasn't allowed me to do that yet, I can't do it. Which is gonna like let me talk about like the sword mechanics. So you can actually do like a combo kill in this game, where like when Altair swings a sword, when it makes contact with an enemy sword, or like when they block an attack, you can actually immediately hit the attack button again, and he'll do like a faster combo attack that will let let them kill enemies quicker. Which I feel like a lot of people also don't know. I feel like when new players just play Assassin's Creed, they just like try to mash the button as quickly as possible, or just do counter kills, which like that's fine, but like I feel like the combo attacks actually like make the combat a lot faster and more like seamless, and actually make it better. Even though I just use the hidden blade most of the time, if I do use the sword, I actually do try to use the combo kill, because I feel like it actually lends skill. Because like instead of just like blindlessly mashing, it actually like rewards skill, and like the game even tells you about it. It's not like a hidden mechanic. So like when you're doing like the first combat encounters in the first Mario block, the game actually tells you can do combo kills. But like yeah, like people just don't do it a lot and just prefer to mash. And like even I don't do it a lot because I just use Hidden Blade all the time. Oh, that Masoon, that's the guy's name. I completely forgot his name. But yeah, he's gonna die here because Al-Mualim is gonna stab him because he's a traitor. And he's talking about some guy named Jalal, which we actually get to see when we go to the kingdom. Because for some reason he's actually like, even though he's like a traitor to the assassins, he's like still like stationed with the rest of the assassins in the kingdom, and is like allowed to be with them for some reason, even though he's set up as this traitor that allowed the Templars in. And like when you see him, he's actually red in Eagle Vision, and you can actually assassinate him. Which I don't think is like special. I think you can actually assassinate like any of the assassins in the kingdom, or like even in Masyaf. But he's the only one that shows up in red and Eagle Vision, because Altair sees him as an enemy because he's a traitor to the assassins. But right here we're basically just like getting introduced to like the hunt for the 9 main Templars, which is like the main thing that you do in this game, because you hunt for the 9 Templars to get all your weapons back. Because Alum takes them away from you to like make you like train again from the beginning. Which I feel like a lot of people don't really like about this game. Like, I've heard so many people complain about AC1 and how like it's very repetitive. Like, I can agree that it's a repetitive game, but I've also heard people say that like they don't like this game as much because all it does is just like you have all your stuff at the beginning and then it just takes them away from you just for you to get them again. Which is like really weird, because I've heard that the same type of thing happens in games like Metroid, and like people love that you get to like explore and like find all your items in Metroid. Which I guess, to be fair, in Metroid you're kind of like actually working towards getting your items back, because you're like actually exploring like all the areas and like using past knowledge when you backtrack to like find items that you wouldn't have been able to get to earlier. And in this game you're just like getting them handed to you after you finish a memory block sequence. So I guess in that aspect it's kind of like different. But it's still basically the same thing of you just like starting out at the beginning with everything and then getting them taken away from you just to work for them again. Which I feel like a lot of people in this game don't really like. And I've heard a lot of complaints about over the years. Yeah, we finally have the Hidden Blade and the sword again. And this sword is actually the weakest sword in the game because it's the first sword you get. But another thing is, like, I feel like most people don't even like realize that the swords and the daggers like even get upgraded and like do more damage, because people just do counter kills all the time, and the counter kills are mostly just a one-hit kill all the time, no matter what. So like people don't even realize that they actually do more damage when you're doing like actual counter or like combo kills, which is like pretty interesting. And this is like a forced like tutorial thing just to like teach you about combat. And like it happens every time you get like a new weapon or ability or anything, which is kind of annoying but you can just like exit it immediately. But yeah, now we're finally like heading to the kingdom, which is like the biggest area in the game and probably my least favorite area just because it's so big and it's like it's all just like one like copy pasted thing, which like a lot of people hate on the newer games for like everything being copy pasted, which they are, but like I feel like the kingdom is like the first like time like they really copy and pasted like a lot of things, because a lot of the areas in the kingdom just feel the same and it's very easy to get lost, and even though I've played this game so many times, I still don't know where I'm going most of the time because everything just looks the same and I don't understand it. And like this is gonna be 100% run of this game, and the kingdom has the most stuff in it. Like it literally has 100 flags and like probably like over half of the Templars or something. And like going for like all the flags and stuff, they're already annoying in the cities, but like in the kingdom it's even more annoying because like there's so many of them, and they're all, a lot of them are either like really close together in like one area, or they're like all spread apart and like you don't know where you're going because every area just looks the same, or they're like really hard to get to. And all the enemies in the kingdom are always aggressive and will always chase you if you're not blending, which is another thing that I didn't talk about in the like puppeteering thing when I was talking about that. If you're just holding the sprint button and not holding high profile to run, if you're just holding the sprint button, you can blend, which will let you walk past enemy guards and like will make you walk slowly like a monk, which will help you like, which like helps with like blending with scholars. Also, this is the guy that's like is red in Ecovision. That's the traitor to the assassins, and you can like actually kill him. And the assassins actually like come after you and like try to fight you, because like they think that you just like kill. I think they're like programmed to act like normal like city guards. They're like, oh, you just killed someone in front of me, I'm gonna kill you, even though they're like also assassins and they're on your side, but they still try to kill you anyway. It's just really weird. But like the blending thing, like it's mostly used in cities when you're like trying to walk with scholars that you save from safe citizen people. And like I use it sometimes if I'm trying to get into like a specific area. Like when we get to Majordine, I do a specific strategy where I always try to use the scholars to walk up onto the stage to get to him easier, even though it never like really works for me, and I still always get like seen and like initiate combat anyway. But like it at least lets me get closer to him before I initiate combat. And I just decided to speed up here. Like I showed the first viewpoint in full speed just so I could show what the viewpoint is like. But like I'm speeding up the rest of this kingdom, and I'm also gonna speed up when I do all the flags and Templars in the city, just because like even though this is 100% run, it's already boring enough for me to like actually go for all the stuff. So I want to make it less boring for people who watch these videos. So I'm gonna speed them up by like 400%. And like I actually speed up when I'm collecting the flags and Templars in Damascus, I actually speed it up less, just so you can like, if people want to like follow these videos as a guide or something, I actually speed it up less so you can actually see where I'm going and like know where all the flags are, instead of like speeding it up this much, so it's just like really fast speed for no reason. And like even though there are flags and Templars in the kingdom, I'm not gonna go for them yet because there, well, for one, there's already just too many, and I don't want to waste time going for them now. But also, I can't even go for all of them now because the kingdom is locked off. Parts of the kingdom are like blocked off right now because I'm not far enough in the story, because it only wants me to go to Damascus right now. And I can't go to Accra, Jerusalem yet, so the areas where those cities are, they're actually blocked off, so I can't go there. Which is going to be the same in Damascus, so I can't go to the other districts of Damascus yet. But I still get all of the flags and stuff in Damascus in this one district, just so I can get them out of the way now. But when I do all the flags and Templars in the kingdom, I'm actually gonna do them all in one like run or sitting, just so I can like get all of them out of the way. And I'll probably do the kingdom last. I'll probably do all the cities first, and then I'll do all the kingdom. Just because like the kingdom is like the biggest area and it's like the main final area, because after you do the assassination in Jerusalem, which isn't actually an assassination because it reveals to you that Robert de Saba is at Arsuf. You have to go all the way out of Jerusalem and go through the kingdom to Arsuf to get to him. So that's probably when I would do all the flags and Templars in the kingdom. And this is the first part of doing Save Citizens. So this is like scholars that I was talking about, where you blend with them to enter like different areas. And Damascus is like actually the only city where I actually use the scholars to enter the city. Because like Al-Qaeda and Jerusalem, even though I always just climb the wall and like parkour above the guards to get into the city. And like even though you can also do that with Damascus, I just prefer using the scholars because the wall for Damascus is like a lot like more tedious to climb, so I just feel like it's faster and more bearable to just use the scholars to get into the city. Even though with Al-Qaeda and Jerusalem, I just climbed the wall. I just climbed the wall to the side. But now we're just doing like all the viewpoints and stuff in Jerusalem. Not Jerusalem, fucking Damascus. The fuck am I talking about? Yeah, but this is Save Citizens, and you might have saw there for a second under my health bar, it said sync bar like 1 of 7 objectives. And that's like how this game increases your health. So every time you do a viewpoint or collect a flag or do a Save Citizen, it adds one of those like objectives to the sync bar, and then when the amount of sync points that you need to fill your health is met, then it will increase a bar to your health. And that's how your health gets increased in this game. And like a lot of people don't even like know that like the side stuff increases your health, because they don't really pay attention to it, because your health just kind of increases normally whenever you just like play the game and like do all the main stuff. But like even if you do all the side stuff, you're gonna get more health. And I think if you don't do any of the side stuff, you only get like 13 bars of health. But if you do all of it, then you get 20. Which honestly isn't really a big difference, because this game is already easy as fuck, so you don't really need that more health. But like it's just like a little like extra bonus. But yeah, we're just doing like viewpoints and Save Citizens stuff. I'm doing all the viewpoints and Save Citizens first, just so I can like clear the map from those, and then I'm gonna be doing all the flags and Templars. Because for some reason, this game doesn't have an in-game map for the flags and Templars, which is really annoying, especially when you're like me and you're doing this for like the 5th time. Because I've 100%ed this game multiple times already. And like, you would think that after doing it that many times, I would have all the things memorized, but I don't, because I just don't really care, and there's way too many of them. So I'm having to use like an online map that I found to like let me know where all the locations for all the things are, which is like sometimes when I'm doing the flags of Templars, you'll see me like standing still, and that's just because of, like I'm looking at the map that I'm following. So that's kind of annoying, and that's kind of slow. And like I wish this game had an in-game map. Like, not like fucking microtransactions, because I don't want microtransactions. I want, like, a map you can buy with in-game money. Which, like, I know they didn't have in-game money until AC2, but, like, there's people in this game that are, like, begging women or something, or, like, people begging for money, But like, if you're gonna have people begging for money, then why not have a money system in the game to begin with? Because it's just weird having people try to beg you for money, but you can't even give them money because there's no in-game money system. And it's just, like, there's a weird disconnect there that I don't understand. It's like the same thing with, like, sometimes in the cities, you can hear, like, sounds of, like, kids playing or something, but there's no kids, because kids weren't introduced until AC3. So, like, there's this weird disconnect of, like, you can hear these sounds of kids, but you can't even see any kids, because Ubisoft didn't put any kids into the games until AC3. And that's the same thing with, like, dogs and animals, because, like, in AC2, sometimes when you shoot your gun, you can hear a dog bark, but there's no dogs in AC2. And it's just really fucking weird and stupid, and there's a weird-ass disconnect. And, like, something stupid is gonna happen here where, like, I think it's... Yeah. Yeah, I'm already in combat when I try to go to this safe citizen. So, like, I try to do it, but then it like, doesn't count because the civilian gets scared because I'm already in combat from the other guard that spotted me. So then the civilian I'm trying to save runs away. So then the safe citizen doesn't count even though I killed the guards. So then I have to run away, like, all the way over here just to get the thing to respawn. And then I have to do that safe citizen thing, like, completely all over again, which is, like, really fucking stupid. Like, if the civilian is already being harassed by the guards, then why do they get scared when I come up and, like, kill the guards when I'm already being chased by other guards? Like, what the fuck is with that shit? Like, I know it's, like, weird, like, 2007 AI, but, like, you saw that they already got scared when I'm already fighting the guards that are the ones that are harassing them. But if I'm already being chased by other guards that are, like, completely, like, different from the guards that are already harassing this one person, they get scared anyway. Like, they get scared no matter what. But, like, if I'm being chased by other guards in the first place, they run away. But if I'm not being chased by other guards, and I initiate combat with the guards that are harassing the person, they still get scared, but it counts for the safe citizen. It makes no sense. But this is just, like, extra dialogue stuff. Like, most people don't even, like, go to the bureau before they do the investigations, because the investigations are already on the map after you do all the viewpoints. So, like, they don't even know that you can have extra dialogue when you go into the bureau before doing the investigations. And, like, it's just, like, a nice little, like, extra, like, lore stuff where they have, like, extra conversations and, like, actually tell you, like, places to go investigate, even though, like, it doesn't really help all that much because, like, they actually, like, name the places that you should go to. But since there's no, like, Animus database in this game or anything, unless you already know, like, the names of locations just by, like, knowing them from real life, you don't know, like, what places they're talking about. Because they just name a random location, and you don't know where it is, or, like, where to go, because they just name a random location and don't say where it is, or how to get there. So, like, it doesn't really help all that much, but it's just, like, a little, like, nice extra, like, lore conversation thing that most people just skip out on, which is interesting. But now I'm gonna do all the flags and Templars, and then I'm gonna do the investigations last. So that's basically how I'm gonna format this series. I'm gonna get to a city, and I'm gonna do all the viewpoints to save citizens. Then I'm gonna go to this bureau to get this little extra dialogue stuff. And then I'm gonna do the flags and Templars, and then I'm gonna do all the 6 main investigations. So that's gonna be, like, my format. And that's, like, how the rest of this thing is gonna go. So, like, now I'm starting the flags and stuff, and I believe this part of Damascus has 33 flags and 10 Templars or something? I don't know. It's been a while since I recorded this footage, so I don't really remember, like how much stuff there is. I just know there's, like, 100 flags in Damascus in total, but they separate them by district, so like there's only a certain amount in each district. Uh, but since I was doing safe systems earlier, I kind of want to talk about like what those actually do. So like, it kind of depends on what civilian you save. Like, sometimes you'll save someone who'll be like, oh, I'll tell my friends about you, or whatever. And that will unlock, vigilantes, which are people that will stand in certain parts of the city. And if you're being chased by guards while you run past them, they will actually, like, help and, like, block the street and, like, help you get away from the guards. Because, like, they grab the guards and, like, stop them from chasing you. Which they actually, like, bring back in later games. And, like, I forget what happened here. I think I had a glitch where, like, I collected a flag and, like, the flag collection thing was, like, stuck on my screen, so I didn't know how many flags I had. So I think I had to kill myself there, and I think that's what that was. But, like I was saying, like, vigilantes are actually in later games. And I think they exist until all the way up until like AC3 or AC4. But like they work differently because like in later games there's no safe citizen missions. So in this game you have to save citizens, but then in later games you have to, I think you have to like liberate the city or district or whatever from like Templar control by like doing like assassin recruit missions or whatever it is in that game. Whatever game you're playing, you have to like liberate Templar control or whatever it is to get vigilantes. And then scholars don't actually exist in any future games at all because they completely get rid of the blending feature. Because in every game after AC2, or like most of them, you can just like blend with any civilian you want just by like standing next to them instead of having to hold like a certain button. Which I guess is nice because like I really don't like the blending feature in this game because like it's pretty much useless. Because like unless you're blending with scholars, there's like almost no reason to blend. Because like the other main function of blending is like to get past like guards that are like searching for you. If like your icon is blinking red in the top left. But that only blinks red if the enemies that are, like, seeing you or, like, already have the sword out. Because, like, it depends. The icon depends on if the enemies are alerted or not. And if they're alerted, they have the sword out. But if they're not, they're just, like, walking with it at their side. And, like, what happened there was, like, I somehow missed a jump and, like, landed in the water and Altair died because you can't swim in this game. Which they actually said in the manual, like the game manual on physical copies, that is because it's an Animus glitch. Which like, it's pretty interesting that like they say like, oh, you can't do certain things in the game because it's a glitch of the Animus. But then they completely abuse that in later games and just say like, well, you can fight like Egyptian gods in this like simulation of ancient Egypt because that's an Animus glitch. Because they just, like, use Animus glitches to, like, explain away stupid things and just so they can get away with it, and it's fucking stupid. Yeah, but that's, like, what happened there. But, like, back to, like, blending. Like, I just don't really like blending all that much, because, like, it's very, like, slow. And, like I was talking about earlier, like, being a speedrunner, like, going slow is really annoying to me. I don't know if that's just me, like being a speedrunner. Like I just prefer going fast. But like, there's almost no reason to blend, unless you're blending with scholars, because like the people who like have their sword out when they're alerted, those people don't really like exist until like the later parts of the game. So like in the early parts of the game. There's like no reason to blend unless you're blending with scholars, and even then, there's not a lot of reason to blend with scholars because there's just like not a lot of places you can only get into with scholars, because there's always like other ways to get into it, like what I was just doing there, with like parkouring through the rafters. Like, you can always just find a way to, like, climb up or around or, like, into some place instead of having to, like, walk slowly with the scholars on the ground. Because the older games, like AC1, had a mentality where, like, being on the rooftops is always faster than being on the ground. So you always want to try to be on the rooftops as much as possible because it's just a faster route. And it also affords parkour capabilities because you have to, like, find your way around, like, the puzzles. Because the parkour in the older games is like a puzzle where they have to figure out, like, the path of least resistance and, like, find the best way to get to A to B instead of just holding forward and going from A to B for like 20 minutes and falling down cliffs because you have no fall damage like in Odyssey. Because in the later games, they just completely remove, like, all function of the parkour and then just make it, they just dumb down the parkour just to becoming, like, holding A and holding forward. And that's, like, all it is in the later games. But in the older games, you actually have to, like, think about where you're going and, like, what you're doing with the parkour, because the parkour is like a puzzle that you have to figure out. And that's why the parkour is, like, so much better in the older games. And, like, I've heard, like, a lot of people say that, like, oh, the assassin doesn't do what I want them to, because they're just jumping around and it seems like they have a mind of their own. But what's actually happening is that they're actually following exactly what you're saying, what you're telling them to do. It's just that they're just so responsive that they do it immediately, and they're following buffered inputs. They're not being stupid, they're doing exactly what you're telling them to do. But because Ubisoft just dumbed down the parkour in the newer games, all it is now is just holding A and holding forward and climbing whatever you can climb. Because you're basically just Spider-Man in the newer games and can literally climb anything with no obvious handholds, and it's just fucking stupid. And there's no reason for it. But here I'm actually, like, doing investigations because I finally collected all the flags and did all the Templars in this district. So we're doing it in eavesdrop here. And what's funny about the eavesdrop in this Tamir section, there's actually 3 of them, but since I'm playing on PC, I only have to do 1 of them, because the other 2 are actually console exclusive. So if I was playing on, like, PS3 or 360, I would actually have to do 2 other eavesdrops, but since they get replaced by other investigations on the PC version, I'm only having to do 1 eavesdrop, and I think one of the PC exclusive missions I'm going to right now, which is this escort mission, where, like, this guy is like, oh, like, I got noticed by, like, these Templars or whatever and I have to escape the city. So he makes you, like, escort into an entrance of the city and, like, kill whatever guards try to kill him. Which is, like, I don't really know if I like these ones so much, because they're just, like, again, they're just really slow and you're just, like, walking with this guy and, like, killing whatever guards try to attack him. So, like, they're just, like, very annoying and slow to do, which, like, I really don't like that much. So I would rather do another eavesdrop mission than have to do an escort mission. And, like, I know a lot of people in games, they don't really like escort missions all that much. So I guess I agree with that. Like, I would rather do eavesdrops than escort missions. Which, like, I don't know if anyone knows what Ico is. Like, Ico is, like, the first game made by the people who made Shadow of the Colossus. And I really don't like that game because to me it just feels like the entire game is just one big escort mission. And, like, if you make your entire game an escort mission, it's just gonna get boring and really bad and stupid. And that's, like, not the only issue I had with it. Like, the combat in Ico is just, like, really bad, and, like, the hitboxes, like, don't work half the time, and, like, you die really easily, and, like, I really don't like Ico that much. Even though I like Shadow of the Colossus better, and I feel like that game is like, really good. And it kind of has the same problem with, like, oh, the hitboxes don't really work all that much, and, like, the movement is, like, really bad. like Ico is just so much worse. But yeah, I'm not gonna talk about Ico because Ico's just a bad game. And if I feel like if I could record PS3 games, I might do Ico at some point. I don't know. Cause I kind of want to do Shadow of the Colossus because I can at least record that because of the PS4 remaster. But like, I don't know if I want to do Ico because Ico's just really bad. Yeah, but because we did 2 investigations, we can actually do the assassination now, which they allow you to only do 2. Oh, I just fucking burped. Nice. Have fun with that. But because you can only in the earlier missions, in the earlier memory blocks, they only allow you to do 2 investigations before you're allowed to do the assassination. But in the later memory blocks, you actually have to do 3 of them. But because we're in the earlier memory blocks, I'm only supposed to be doing 2. But since it's a 100% run, I'm actually going to be doing all 6. So yeah, that's why the assassination is available to do now, but I'm still doing all the investigations. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, I could talk about Tamir. So Tamir is this first guy we're going to assassinate, and his role for the Templars in this game is basically like a weapons dealer. Like he is running like a black market weapons area, or like weapons salesman, and this basically just shows like a map to like get into his like area where you go to assassinate him, which like I really don't think is like that helpful, because like I said earlier, like even though you can like look at all these maps and read all these things, they're not really all that helpful all that much, which is probably why people don't even like know that you can do it. But like Tamir is like the main like weapons guy for the Templars in this game. So like after you take him out, like the Templars aren't gonna have like all that much weapons to deal with. So like that's his role for the Templars. And like eventually I want to get to like, when I get to the later games, I'm gonna talk about like all the roles for the Templars in each game. Just because I feel like it would be interesting to do, because like it's like lore stuff. And I know way too much Assassin's Creed lore, because I wasted too many years of my life playing this series. But yeah, that's basically Tamir. And this investigation is, I feel like the first investigation that I feel like most people do, just because it's like right in front of the entrance to the city, and it's like right there. And you don't even have to do like viewpoints or anything to like unlock the investigations. You just have to do viewpoints to like unlock them on the map to know where they are. So like, I feel like most people just immediately run to this one, just because it's like right in front of you, basically. Like immediately after you enter the city. But yeah, that's like another letter thing that you can read when you pickpocket him. I don't think I've talked about like the types of investigations yet. So like we've done like investigations for eavesdropping and pickpocketing, which are like pretty self-explanatory, and we just did an escort mission. And this one is gonna be a rooftop race, which is I think another PC exclusive mission. I don't think every single memory block has a PC exclusive mission in it, but I know like at least some of them do. And I'm not exactly sure why they made some PC exclusive missions and like made others only console. I'm not really sure the reasoning for that. But like I feel like it's interesting that they like made newer different types of missions for the PC. But basically a rooftop race is basically you talk to this one informer and he's like, oh, like I don't actually have any information for you, but this other assassin might, so why don't you go find him? And then you go find the other guy across the rooftops, and they time you for some reason. I don't understand why they time you. But like you're basically just like racing against the clock to like parkour across the rooftops to get to this other assassin who has the information you need. And then later in other memory blocks, we're going to be doing stuff like merchant stand destructions, which are also PC exclusive, where you have to destroy some merchant stands by throwing people into them, or like killing a guard next to it and like throwing his body into the merchant stand. And I think there's also, God, what else is there? I feel like there's more. Or there's interrogations, which is this one, where you have to follow this preacher guy to like some area and fist fight him until he stops and gives you the information you need, and then you kill him. Because like you're an assassin and you can't afford any loose ends. And some of these, like, every time you do one of these, it always says like, oh, follow him to like a secluded location so no one can see like the body when you kill him, or like where you go or whatever. But like most of these interrogations don't even like have the guy go to like a secluded area. Like especially later in the game, the person you follow just goes like, they walk in a circle around like this big building in like a heavily populated area, and like there's no like real good like spot to kill them and hide the body. And like what happened there was like, I threw him into the wall because apparently like, I didn't even know this recently, but like apparently when you throw people into a wall in this game, it actually does damage. So you don't actually have to like punch these guys like multiple times. You can actually like just grab and throw them into a wall. Which is something I didn't even talk about when I was talking about the controls and the puppeteering system. When you are in combat and you press the grab button, which is like circle or B or whatever, you can like grab people, and then you can press it again and like throw them and like into any direction you want. And you can even like combo that, like you can throw people onto the ground and then run up to them and assassinate them with your hidden blade while they're stuck on the ground, because they're stuck in an animation of like tumbling to the ground and like trying to get back up. So like, I didn't even know that did damage until recently, and I think in the later games you don't even have to like throw them into a wall to do damage. I think like in AC2, as long as you just throw a guy, I think it still does damage no matter what. But I think in AC1 it only does damage if you throw them into a wall. So yeah, that's that thing. And this is going back to the Assassin Bureau to actually like unlock the assassination, even though we could have done it a lot earlier. But since it's 100% run, I'm doing everything. So then we can actually go assassinate Tamir. It'll be our first like real assassination in this hunt for the 9. Because there are 9 main targets and he's gonna be our first. Because that's how numbers work. Yeah. So he's gonna give us like a special feather thing to like mark, whereas like a signifier that we killed our target, which they actually bring back in Origins. Technically they bring it back in Syndicate first, but in Syndicate for some reason they use like a fucking like white cloth or whatever instead of a feather. But then in Origins they bring it back and they actually make it a feather again, because like Origins tried to like even though it was like a new like direction and like they went the RPG route, which I fucking hate, they still tried to make Origins be somewhat of a classic Assassin's Creed game. So they still had like all the things like the hidden blade and the hood and like the feather for the targets and like a full-on like targets menu for like tracking your targets and like learning about them, which like was way more expanded upon with like the cultist system in Odyssey and like the Order of the Ancients in, not Order of the Ancients, fucking what was it? Like the night skies in Valhalla that you have to like find around the map. I forget what they're called because I really don't care, and I've played Valhalla like once. And I really don't want to go back to Valhalla, but like for this series I might have to. Because I plan to like do all the DLCs for the series too. And Valhalla has 2 DLCs right now and is actually getting a third because Ubisoft is fucking greedy with money. And I haven't even played the first 2 DLCs yet. And I recently watched like a playthrough of them recently. And they're like so fucking bad. And I really don't want to play them, but I might have to if I want to like do all the games for the series, which I know in my last video I said I might only go up to like AC4. But like, now that I've thought about it, I feel like the series won't be fully complete unless I do every single game. So eventually I'm gonna have to be doing Valhalla. Which I still haven't even like 100% in the main game for myself yet in Valhalla, because I just don't care and I hate Valhalla so fucking much. And Valhalla is like so big and there's just like way too much to do. So like I just can't be bothered, but I'm gonna have to do it eventually. Because I want 100% it myself before I like start 100%ing it for videos. Just so like I can actually like know what I'm doing and like actually practice. Because Valhalla is the only game that I haven't 100%ed already. And like Odyssey and Valhalla are like Unity, Syndicate, Odyssey, and Valhalla are the only ones I haven't done multiple times. And Valhalla I haven't even done once. But every other game I've done multiple times already. So I have a lot more experience with those ones, even though I still have most of my experience with like AC1 to AC4. And like Origins I've done twice, but one of those was in New Game and the other one was in New Game Plus. So technically I've only done it once if you don't want to count New Game Plus. And then like if I ever 100% Odyssey again, which I might have to for like this video series, I might do it again in New Game Plus. I might honestly even play it in New Game Plus for this video series when I get to Odyssey. Just because I really don't want to play New Game on Odyssey again, because that game is so fucking bad and it's like so hard to get through on a New Game file. But like here we like actually assassinate Tamir, and like what I always do for this assassination is I just wait until he goes to this one table and assassinate him from the back from here. And apparently he is supposed to like actually walk around a lot more. Like if you don't assassinate him there, he actually like walks around and like goes to other areas and like yells at the people there. But I always just assassinate him at this first table because like it's the first place he goes to, so it's a lot faster, and I feel like I'm pretty sure it's like right next to like an entrance or like an exit, so it's a lot easier to escape. But yeah, that's gonna happen after every assassination, where once you assassinate the guy, you have to escape the area and make it back to the bureau without being in combat. Because if you're in combat, then the bureau door is gonna be closed. So you have to completely escape the area. You have to hide in like a hideable area, like a haystack or like a rooftop garden or a bench or whatever, and completely escape all the guards and make sure they're not after you anymore, because they're all completely aggressive to you no matter what, because you just killed their main leader, so they're just all aggressive towards you. So then you just have to escape and make it back to the bureau without getting killed, which sometimes can be really annoying because like sometimes sometimes you can get seen by someone right after you exit a hiding spot, and you can't go back into a hiding spot if someone sees you or is actively like chasing you, because the game forces you out of it. So like you have to make sure like no one's around when you exit the hide spot, which is sometimes like hard to tell in this game, because you can't zoom out the camera while you're in a hide spot like you can in like AC2. So sometimes it's like hard to see where the enemies are, which is like, I don't know if anyone else has that problem, but like I don't like that you can't zoom out the camera while you're in a hide spot in this game. And like I don't even know why I don't like that, because even in AC2, I don't even zoom out the camera all that much when I'm hiding. But that's probably because, like, they just automatically, like, zoomed out the camera before, like, you can, like, manually do it even more. Because I'm pretty sure AC2 zoomed out the camera, like, automatically when you're in high spot, and then you can press a button to, like, zoom it out even more. But they, like, the first zoomed out is, like, already zoomed out way more than it is in AC1. So that's probably why I don't do the manual zoom out a lot in AC2. And, like, I think AC2 also added a chase cam, where, like, when you're being chased by guards, you can zoom out the camera and, like, see the guards chasing you. Which I know my friend ID does a lot, because he likes to, like, he used to, like, mess around in Brotherhood and, like, AC2, and, like, just watch the guards chase him because he thought it was funny, and just, like, listen to the guard quotes, which, like, the guard quotes in, like, AC2 and Brotherhood are just so good. And, like, he used to, like, imitate them all the time. But yeah, basically we're now just in the modern day, and, like, all we have left for this video is, like, the Lucy conversations in the modern day, where Desmond just, like, just asks her, like, what the fuck is going on? I don't know what the fuck's going on here. And that's, like, basically all it is. But, like, he does ask her, why the Animus translates, or, like, why it makes all the people in the Holy Land speak English. And that's because, the Animus translates, like, most of the native language to English, which, like, I guess is, like, a good in-universe explanation for, like, why all the characters speak English, even though they're in, like, the Middle Ages and, like, the 1200s or whatever, where, like, English was not the native language, and anyone who spoke English during that time was, like, the English was way different, because the language evolves, and, like, anyone who spoke English was not in that area at the time, or most of the time, unless they were, like, crusaders. But this is not a fucking history video, this is an Assassin's Creed video. But I might talk about history at some point, because Assassin's Creed actually got me into liking history. And, like, that's why, like, I actually, like, took, like, a lot of history classes in school. And, like, it actually got me into liking history more as a subject. Because, like, I never used to, like, care about history, but then I started playing Assassin's Creed a lot more, and it was like, you know, Assassin's Creed, like, actually, like, taught me history and, like, helped me, like, learn about it more, and, like, made it more interesting and more fun. Which, like, I've heard a lot of stories about people using, like, Assassin's Creed as, like, a tool in their classes. And there's actually someone on Twitch that I follow who is, like, an Egyptologist or whatever, and they sometimes stream Assassin's Creed Origins just to, like, show, like, ancient Egypt mythology and history and stuff, just because it's, like, a good tool to use to teach that type of stuff, which is, like, even if you don't like Origins as a game, which I really don't that much, I feel like that's still, like, a cool thing to do, like, actually, like, using video games as, like, a tool to teach stuff in schools, or, like, even outside of schools, like, on Twitch. Like, that's just, like, a really cool thing to do. Even if, like, the games themselves aren't really, like, that great, and, like, are pretty badly designed. But if you're using them to teach in school, then, like, I guess that's not really the point of the game. And, like, you can just forget all that. But, like, I have, like, 10 seconds left in this video, so I'm just showing, like, the bathroom. Because something weird that happens is, like, the towels always change every modern day sequence. So I'm gonna be showing the towels in the bathroom every time. And we can't leave the modern day, our room yet. But that's basically it for this video, so I hope you enjoyed whatever the fuck this was.